Good morning out there, everyone tuning in to the Geekdom Underground podcast. Welcome to another episode. We're super excited to be yet again featuring a member of our community doing some amazing things. As always, it is your boy JRG hanging out with...
What's going on, Mr. JRG? Good morning, everybody. My name is Philip Hernandez, COO here at Geekdom, and I'm super pumped about this morning's episode of Geekdom Underground. Today, we have Sandra Gonzalez-Lamb, the founder of Talent Hatched, with us in the house. Also, a current participant in our Geekdom Incubator program. So we'll get into all of those things. Sandra, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, sweet. So as you all know, we are in the Geekdom Underground official podcast studio.
We still got to get the lava lamp, but...
we do. I know. The place, it's looking a little bare still, and our podcast consultants have said that we need to make it cooler, and so...
It's legit, though.
It is legit. And that's the thing, is that it's functional. We have state-of-the-art equipment in here. It's nice and quiet. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we need to make it classier, and so... We'll get a lot.
We're working on it.
Yeah.
Get some sparkles going.
Yeah.
Or some sparkles. Yeah. Well, Sandra, like I said, awesome to have you in here. So we like to keep things casual, conversational in here. So I'll start us off with just, if you could tell us a little bit about where you're from and how you got here.
Sure. Well, I'm from South Texas, all around here. Started at a border town, 4 hours south of here. As you know, Texas is a huge state. So, yeah, you can drive 4 hours south and still be in Texas. Border town named Mission. Stayed in San Antonio working on an internship in undergrad. Then met this Irish Catholic dude who wouldn't quit bothering me. So I stayed and married him and worked on my graduate school here. My friend is still upset because we were supposed to go to Columbia together in the East Coast. But it's all good. Worked in higher ed for 15 years in the career coaching area, and that's where I came up with the idea for Talent Hatched.
Beautiful.
Right on. Mission, Texas. That's the second guest.
Oh, wow.
That we've had that called out Mission, Texas.
Did they mention Tom Landry?
No, they did not mention.
Wow. Why Tom Landry?
Yeah.
Home of Tom Landry.
Oh, really?
Hey.
Big football area. Well, most of Texas is, but yeah, he's from Mission.
Yeah,
nice.
That is funny. A lot of those, especially the smaller towns, the claim to fame is the strong football era that they had at some point in time. Where is Mission?
Mission is next to McAllen. So McAllen is the biggest area. Although, now since it's grown so much, I would say it's kind of like a small version of DFW. It's a metroplex area.
Yeah. Sure. So Mission, and you decided, so you met somebody, and they brought you to San Antonio, or you came to San Antonio on your own?
No, I ran from home. I'm just kidding. After high school, I ran up here for an internship in undergrad.
Right on.
For counseling and rehabilitative services at Easter Seals, which is still going.
Right
provides good services to our community. And I was on my way to graduate school on the East Coast, and that's when I met my now current husband.
What got you into counseling?
Counseling, it's a long story, but long story short, originally I was going for medicine, and so the counseling was an allied health career focus, and that's what I focused on at the time.
Right on. So you had mentioned that you that you came up here for an internship in San Antonio. What was the internship like?
Yep, the internship was with Easter Seals, 1 semester, and it was part of the curriculum to be able to graduate with the bachelor's. It was really good, for most folks, but for me, it didn't turn out to be what I wanted to do. So in hindsight, I wish I had that exposure prior to entering that program.
Yeah.
Because then you're screwed, right? You got to finish. You have 1 semester left. You have all this money to pay back.
Yeah.
For some folks, and that's part of the reason for Talent Hatch, right? So that other people don't have to do that and maybe gain the exposure, so that doesn't happen to them. And moreover, they have the confidence to pursue what they really want at that point in their life.
Yeah. And what school were you with?
I started at Baylor in Waco. Then I went to University of Texas Pan American, which now changed to UTRGV. And that reminds me, I have to say that I did not go to Mission High School, because people hear and will be like, Sandra, you did not say Sherryland. So I attended Sherryland High School, which is a school district within Mission. Very important.
Oh, why is that important?
Because there's a distinction in not a rivalry, I would say, but if you say you're from Mission, you have to distinguish. Either you are Mission Eagles or you are a Sherryland Rattler.
And is that like a sports rivalry, or just like in general, just like where you're from?
In general, like where you're from, kind of hood area.
Really?
Yeah, because at that time, Sherryland was 3A, very small school, and
Mhm.
Mission were the big dogs, 5A.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would liken it to like, you have, let's see, Alamo Heights, right? But it's still part of San Antonio.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like that. So Mission
Oh.
is the city, but Sherryland is the school district within the city.
Oh, okay.
Right on. Yeah. Okay, so you had also mentioned that that's what Talent Hatched is here to solve. And so I think the issue that you were referring to is that like you came in and you did this internship and it was part of your 4-year program.
Yep.
And then 3.5 years into it, you're like, oh, I don't know if this is what I want to do. And Talent Hatch would be a solution for that. Can you tell us a little bit about what is Talent Hatch?
Sure. So we're creating a SaaS, some software for high school students to gain work-based learning opportunities aligned with the career they're thinking about pursuing. So the goals would be a couple goals, to give them exposure to what is really out there. Typically in high school, people work fast food industry, which there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it'd be cool if they'd get to like work in a PR firm, right? Work at the sports Spurs sports front desk, and see that environment with all the intricacies of what that involves, similar to here at Geekdom. And the second reason is that I think it would give some students hope to persist, right? Because high school is really hard and difficult and an awkward time in people's lives. But also, and personally, and things I've seen in our students that I serve in my day job, I think it gives being exposed to a career that you're interested in at a younger age gives you the confidence to make sure you get over the no's, because you're going to get a lot of no's, right? I got a big no when I first was at Baylor for what I was pursuing. And, my parents didn't know any better, and they're like, well, they're the therapists, they're the counselors, they know better, right? And I knew better that I was good enough, and I could have persisted, and I would have done just fine. But, you don't know what you don't know. And so fast forward 20 years later, I'm still here and I keep seeing the same things occur. And I think in terms of offering some equitable access, it's something that's not very popular or industry's not used to. But one of the positive things of COVID, I like to think, if we can say that, is that it accelerated the use of IT in all aspects of K through 12 and the workforce, right? Especially that area between, when you're 16, 22, 23, 24, or even after if you're looking to upscale or rescale, right? Which is a lot of our populations and community. So because of that, I think ed tech has is a very good market right now to grow from, to invest in, and it's one of the things that Talent Hatch is hoping to go after.
So can you talk about like how would somebody use Talent Hatch?
Sure. So it's an app, and school district or workforce entity, the city would purchase it and then provide it to their learners, their students, and they would quickly log in, easily click some screens with skill sets that they currently possess. Because, some of our students have non-credential skill sets already, right? They've been coding. They've been working on things that are not officially credentialed. But that doesn't mean that they're not good at it. That doesn't mean that they can't do the work. But because it's not, if some organization doesn't say, okay, this is official, or doesn't give you a piece of paper, to me, it doesn't matter. to me, it's something that you can still work on and, have confidence in knowing that you'd be able to get some money and support your family, or of course save for college, because, even public four-year school is so expensive nowadays. But they would quickly log in, go through some screens, articulate what skills they know, whether they be tech or non-tech. Those would be the two variants we have right now. So it'd be tech or non-tech. And then from there, it'd create a profile. So your profile would become your cover letter. It's very hard for folks, regardless of what age or credentials, to come up with a cover letter, right? You have to be able to articulate about yourself. Just talk really awesome about yourself. So think about how hard that is, right? So to expect someone young to do that, well, I've consulted and worked with people that have PhDs that have problems doing cover letters, so it's not easy. So your profile would be your cover letter. Then the entity would then link you up with whatever jobs are available. That partnership would have had to have been established already, and that's where my call to action would be, right? For our local businesses and partners to open their space up for our students, right? Because we hear that we need talent, we need folks skilled, but you need to create a pathway. You need to be able to be vulnerable and allow that to happen. And it's much easier to import talent, right? There's nothing wrong with that, but it's harder to grow your own. It's harder to create that pipeline. But if you do, right, you have awesome things happen. You have people staying, less brain drain, right? People contributing to community that they're already proud of, right? I'm proud to be a San Antonian now, and a lot of folks in this room and in this building are as well. But if you don't have that partnership from the community and the industry, then that can't happen. But to answer your question, it'd be really easy just to log into the app and have it on your phone. And every time, kind of like an Uber or Lyft, right? There's a job nearby, you're walking around, it would ding if it matches with your skill sets and if there's an opening.
Gotcha. So then from there, they can go and apply. So this is something that matches. It's like a matchmaking app then.
Yep. But not for love.
Not for love, but it can be overwhelming, especially for your first job, to go out there and like just search for any openings. But if you have openings that are served to you based on your self-identified skills, then at least you know which ones that you should be applying to based on the things you've already been working on.
Correct.
That's cool. So you had also mentioned that you have a day job. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Like most of the entrepreneurs out there or startup folks, I have a day job. I work at Alamo Colleges, specifically St. Philip's College.
Shout out.
Dang,
Alamo Colleges, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I was.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm a career coach there currently.
Oh, okay. Awesome. So
does that translate like pretty well into like what you're building?
Yeah, it does. I've had different titles, but I love working with students. I've seen the transition of students in the past 15 years. But this one gap that I identified is why I created Talent Hatch.
Cool.
Yeah, there's and the gap that you're identifying is a little bit earlier than the college students. It starts with like you've identified that students as early as high school are already starting to think about what they want to be doing and are already trying to tie applicable skills to available jobs. Is that the gap that you're talking about?
Yeah, and sometimes, Philip, it's not necessarily, out of their interest. Yeah. I would venture to say a lot of, students have to work and need to work to support their immediate families and save for college or save for whatever is going to come after high school. The cost of living continues to increase. The minimum wage hasn't. Cost of private and public four-year colleges continues to increase. Community colleges, are lucky. We're able to have affordable pricing because we're funded by 3 revenue streams, right? Which are, we levy taxes. So my tax bill and your tax bill will have like your local college district listed there. But then also we get monies from the state, and obviously we start tuition. So that makes us more affordable, and I think that's a cool thing. Mm-hmm. I just would like, in the perfect world, for most public four-year schools to also be affordable.
Yeah. Have you done any kind of like entrepreneurial things prior to Talent Hatch?
Yeah. I think it was shortly after Geekdom opened. So I know you guys are hitting your 10-year mark, right? So
10
congrats.
years this month.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you.
Woohoo.
Yeah, right here. Hold up.
Hey, happy birthday to us.
Woohoo. Yeah, I think it was a couple of years after that. Hatish, Dr. Nathani was a mentor of mine. So
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's the reason I'm here. He pushed me to come up and move forward my idea. But prior to that, I think it was about 2013, I had a STEAM gear clothing line for babies. So to encourage girls to pursue STEM.
That's awesome.
So, but now they added the A. So I think I added an A at that time. So that was my previous startup. That did not go well.
No.
I learned so much from it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
And so how has this journey been for you building Talent Hatch?
It's been interesting. There's this thing called a pandemic. And I feel really fortunate to say that I'm here. And so are my kids and my family. But yeah, that added another layer of, having to, how do I put it in terms of, one of my favorite sports, volleyball, get the ball over the net with a dink. It was the last moment there. But yeah, I think it's gone pretty well. Geekdom's very supportive, exposure to tons of mentors, the finance part, something that I needed to learn, and I feel more confident in that. So yeah, it's been pretty good considering everything else.
What's been one of the biggest challenges?
One of the biggest challenges is finding a technical partner.
Mm.
One of the cool things I've found out is the Y Combinator, out of Silicon Valley.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
The videos are just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You can just learn like chingos of things in one day. Just YouTubing that. But one of the things they created was a matching system where, you put in your skills, what you're looking for, whether it be a non-technical or technical person, and they match you up with somebody, anywhere in the world.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I just learned about that last month. So I'm thinking about hitting them up. But yeah, to answer your question, it's quite difficult to find somebody you trust, right? It's a lot of work. You cannot get paid. Under this incubator, I'm not getting paid. But I believe in it, and I'm going to pursue it to then.
Yeah, right on. What about, can you talk about one of your wins? Like, what's one of the biggest celebratory moments for Talent Hatch?
I think that we have 2 potential customers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So go for Q4. My brain thinks in quarters now, right? So you've trained me well.
Nice.
Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Like it also thinks in academic year, right? Because I work at an institution of higher learning, which everything starts on September 1st. It ends August 31st. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, I have 2 sides of my brain thinking in quarters. But for our Q4 goal is to get a customer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right on.
That's a win.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Can you talk about the incubator program? What has that been like? How far into it are you?
So we're wrapping up. It's October. We present in January. And we have a presentation this coming Friday, by the way. So those are pretty cool because it allows you to summarize everything you've done in the past 3 months. So, did you go into Asana? No. Okay, go back and do that because those people you're presenting to are going to be checking that out. Did you come in and make sure, you try to communicate and network and say thank you, even if it's like an email thank you. I prefer cards, but, we're not supposed to do cards right now. So I really miss my Snoopy cards. But, make sure you thank the people that you consulted with, that have given you advice. Make sure that you keep track of your quarterly finances. So I've gotten really good at that. Monthly, written, quarter. And I did mess up in Q2, but Leslie caught me real good. I'm like, ooh, let me go back there. So I think, when January comes, I'm going to be like, where are they? Can I still go back? But it's been a great experience. I am really appreciative of the leadership accepting our application and believing in us and continuing to stick with us. Besides, all the hiccups we've had definitely more wins than hiccups. So I try to look at it that way.
What when you went to Alamo colleges and started the job that you're in now, what was it that made you feel compelled to start Talent Hatch to fill that void?
Well, when I started, I had just received my master's in public policy, and I needed a job, and I was trying to align it with some of my values. And after being there for a couple years, I started to notice, this is the same story that I had experienced when I first went off to school. And it was like, miss, I wanted to do this, but, they told me I couldn't do it, And the hardest part, as an advisor or career coach is to tell the person, like, yes, you can, you need to go back. Because, that was maybe months, years ago. And to say that to someone, you have to be careful because you don't want to burst their bubble as to where they're at now, right? But I know exactly how that feels. And it doesn't feel good. So you don't want to say, hey, don't let people tell you no, go back and do it, right? Because they're here in front of you pursuing something else, right? So I learned to be very empathetic and listen and guide them to maybe something that they'd like to do. And, 9 times out of 10, Philip, what they wanted to do was totally related with what they had thought they could do. So that was something that was always, coming and staring at me straight in the eye.
Why do you think that it's so impactful when a student asks, or a student says, this is something that I want to do, and then the advisor that they probably haven't interacted with too much tells them that that's probably not the best path forward?
Well, and it, for me, it was an advisor. It wasn't my personal advisor, but it was somebody that told me I couldn't, do medicine because people like me didn't do well in math and science. And, you can take that however you will. But
where was that coming from in that moment?
That was coming from, it wasn't my personal advisor. It was like somebody that was filling in, and, I had A's and B's, so I was doing pretty good. My calculus did kick my butt, but, I think with some help I would have done okay. However, at that point, my parents were like, whatever they say is gold, right? So I think it's so impactful, to answer your question, is because regardless if it's the advisor or not, it's a person of power. It's a person that has a nice title after them that works at that place, right? So you do not expect that person to say, you can't do this.
Yeah.
That's why it's impactful.
Yeah. And I guess at that time in your life, you were probably in transition, from high school or something. And the way that I think about that is we're so used to being taught, at that age, we're so used to looking up to the teacher and taking whatever they say as truth because that's what we're going to school for.
Yep.
But that transition from a teacher-student relationship to an advisor-student relationship, that becomes a little muddy, right? How do you know then what you know now? Which now, if somebody told you today, if you said, I think I want to pursue medicine, I feel like if you were to tell me that and I were to say the same thing somebody told you, that you would push back and say that or you would just take it as that's just what that guy said.
Grain of salt.
A grain of salt, yeah. But when you're at that mindset of a student, nobody tells you that you can provide pushback or that's just a data point kind of a thing. That's really interesting.
Yeah. And I mean, now it'd be like, okay, cool. Nice chatting with you. And, off I go and go knock on someone at the door.
Yeah.
Right. Because I've learned, but to have that confidence at that age is very difficult, especially if, for me and as an example, and for a lot of the students I see, this was I was the first in my family to go to school. first everything. So yeah, I was a triple minority. So, I didn't want to disappoint my parents. It was a lot of money. I was taking on debt. There's a lot of things on the line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you would have had talent hatched back then, how do you think your journey would have been different?
I think it would have been a lot different. Had I seen the environment of a hospital or a clinic, I'd have been like, cool, like these people are normal. They're just like everybody else,
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're younger or you're starting something new, you do get butterflies. You are intimidated. You do have that feel like maybe I should not be here. Why am I here? It's more so, if you have all these other things that are up against you, right? I did not have like maybe $20 on my debit card, like most of the students I serve, right? If you have a bank account, I did not know what a semester was. I had to teach myself, and I did not want to tell my parents that because I knew they wouldn't do it, and I didn't want to offend them or make them feel like, they're less intelligent than me. Because work ethic and value based, they are totally much more than I'm still thinking. I'm still trying to reach that, right? So as a young person, you don't want to do that to your parents, but at the same time, exposing somebody to that environment, I feel not only helps you get through school and think that, hey, I can do that, which I know people say that all the time, but it does matter because what your eyes see, then your brain can translate to, what we call ganas, right? The will. And if you don't see it through your neighbors or, whatever social capital, if you have social capital within your family, immediate family or extended area, then you're not going to think you can do it. So I think the exposure to that environment will help our students in our community not only persist, but, also create maybe a pipeline, right? So that businesses will think, hey, this is going to be a fresh new student. We can help them go through college and train them up. Really, you're molding up your workforce locally, which I think is key to continue the economic growth for our city.
Yeah. When you say that you're hopeful in Q4 to get your first customer, what does your customer look like? Is that like a school district or, just what is that customer?
So one would be a school district. The other one that I was thinking about, Philip, would be like, an economic development entity that is trying to accomplish XYZ goals with some of the grant monies that have been doled out from the Department of Labor, or, they have a new initiative that they need to fulfill. Also, it could be a workforce development board. We have 28 in the state of Texas, and they are really integral in helping folks skill up and placing folks in apprentice-like opportunities.
Right on. When you talk about like your passion for filling that gap, I feel like there's like two issues. One, students don't know that these jobs exist and their skills that they already have kind of already align. And the other is that students don't have the exposure early on into some of these fields that, kind of demystifies their journey to get there. And I know that Talent Hatched is there to solve that first issue, to do that matchmaking. What do you think how do you think we can get those students to be like just in the presence of those places? Is there a pathway to set up like programming for corporations to accept these kind of internships or anything?
Yeah, there's models out there. One that I can provide as an example that my friend has allowed me to share is, her experience growing up in Austin with Dell, the computer folks. This was like 15 years ago, maybe, and it was a small school, But beginning their freshman year, they had, I believe, 8 to 10 hours where they were bused to one of the Dell buildings, and they worked in whatever area, right? So if you think of a big company, they have all aspects of what you would consider, HR, accounting, manufacturing, maintenance, software engineering, obviously, the leadership. So the students would be placed in an area of their interest, and having that experience for 4 years not only builds up your resume, but it demystifies like, hey, I can work in this building, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can do whatever they're doing that, makes them millions of dollars, and, lets them be self-sufficient and have a family. My friend entered college much better prepared,
Mm-hmm.
and went to college because of that experience. I have another acquaintance who takes her kid to her law firm, right? My parents couldn't take me to their work because, it was dirty and they did not allow children. But imagine being able to go to your mom's office and be like, hey, I can do this. Like, she's cool. She's in charge. She does this. That doesn't happen to a lot of people.
Yeah, like almost seems intimidating. Like even just thinking about it, I think about like growing up, driving past the Dell building, being like, I don't even know what goes on in there.
Yeah.
Like, I would never be able to step foot in there.
I'm not privy to that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But going in and seeing that, like, it's a little bit, it's friendly, and like maybe there's opportunities for me in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. We saw that a little bit when we had Belinda from Be My Village in here. She had brought some of her old students or a friend of hers that worked at Castech. I think it was her old students, but but she brought some Castech students through here.
Cool.
And we did see that on their faces of like, oh, these people look like me, or like, you know what I mean? Like, and that was really cool to see. What drives you like to pursue Talent Hatched while you also have another full-time job? And,
Don't tell my boss.
yeah, what drives you, Sandra?
I think I'm the firstborn out of 4, so without wanting to, I always had to help my parents out, right, and help learn how to do everything that entails being a caregiver. So the fun thing my brother used to say is like, you're never going to have kids and get married after all this. Well, yeah. And you're wondering why I took forever to get hitched, as he says. But no, like, I think, for me, I plan on working or being of service to someone forever. Like, retirement to me does not look like, hanging out at a golf course or sitting on my front porch. Like, I want to be able to do something to help someone. So, to me, that's something that I've always had in my heart, to be of help to people in whatever I do. It doesn't have to be with my career. I don't have to be monetarily compensated, but I do want to be successful in whatever I try, right? So my family, I want to be successful with Team Lamb, as we call ourselves, as a friend. And there's Team Lamb and Cali, so it's like 1-1. We're tied this year.
Is there a rivalry there too?
Oh yeah.
What's? Can you talk about that?
Well, yeah, well, maybe not. I have to ask for permission from my sister-in-law, see what she thinks. She is 3 hours behind, so
that's funny.
But yeah, I just want to be successful. I want to be helpful. I think there's an opportunity to have greater impact long term.
Yeah.
And, this is a new space. There's not a lot of folks doing this. I really think we can create a pipeline where this will be the norm in 10 to 15, 20 years. Long are the days, like 60s or 70s where it was kind of cookie cutter, where people would go right after high school to college. It's not necessarily the case, right? People do badge credentialing. one of the folks I work with on our team took a year off during COVID, didn't even get it credentialed, but became a UX designer. And in her field, she's told me, as long as you complete most of the modules, you don't have to complete them all, but you can do the work and you can show it, you get a job.
Yeah.
Which for a lot of people, that's going to be the norm because, it's very difficult to afford it. And really, it's going to be a luxury to have a 4-year degree under your belt.
Yeah.
For a lot of folks. So I'm all game for credentialing, badges, and on average, folks are going to have 3 to 4 careers in their lifetime moving forward.
Sure.
So, hey, if you start somewhere, you start somewhere. You can always go back and upskill.
Yeah.
Do something else.
Yeah, I know someone had told me, or I heard this somewhere before, that like 1 year of experience equates to 2 years of school or something like that. I don't know. I feel like if you and especially in the creative space, if you have a photographer that's been doing it for, 2 years, you've been doing the actual work and out there doing the things, editing the photos versus someone that comes out of college, 4-year photography or whatever degree, yeah, that experience goes a long way.
Still got some schooling to do.
Yeah.
Street smarts.
For real, that counts for something.
Yeah.
For sure.
I sometimes I think it's maybe dismissed or not held to as high standard as somebody who has a piece of paper, but if you've actually done the work, as opposed to somebody who has a piece of paper and hasn't done the work, well, guess who's going to get hired?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only use that example because that's how I did it. I didn't go to school for photography or any sort of creative. I don't have a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I did it for a few years, and that's kind of what led to certain opportunities. Just because people are like, hey, I see you out there grinding,
Dude, just fake it till you make it, dude.
Exactly.
There it is, baby. No, that's awesome. Well, Sandra, this has been great. I really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. Before we wrap up, one question I always like to ask and save for the end is if you could go back and think about that time when you wanted to pursue medicine and there was somebody that was in your way and really kind of, inserted that imposter syndrome that this isn't something that I can do. If you can go back to that time, what advice would you have liked to have heard, or what advice would you give somebody who's in that similar spot?
Oh, that's a good one, Philip. Let me see. I think about that one.
You always end with the banger, man.
Yeah, it's like a Walter Cronkite one.
Hey.
Or Dan Rathers.
Mm-hmm.
I remember my dad watching that, making us all watch it. I think I would tell my former self or someone in those shoes, be gracious, say thank you for your feedback, don't take it to heart, and then go find somebody who'll tell you yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
That is good. Yeah. Be gracious, thankful for that feedback, and find your yes. Well, Sandra, this has been awesome. It's, we love having you as part of the community, as part of the incubator program. And it's been great to just kind of kick it with you and get to know you a little bit more. If you would, sir, Mr. JRG, take us home, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in this morning to another amazing episode of the Geekdom Underground podcast. So how do people learn about you, learn about Talent Hatch? Do you have a website or social media, anything like that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, we have a website, talenthatch.com. We're also on LinkedIn and Instagram.
Oh, very cool. On the IG.
Right on.
Well,
on the IG.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. We will see y'all next week. And thanks again for tuning in. Take it easy, y'all.
Thanks,
Good job.
everybody.